Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Come on, /x/ pull yourself together. Share your spookiest stories here. No creepypasta bullshit, no OC writing, no tinfoil garbage. Stories that preferably happen to you or someone you know. But you can post other creepy tales as long as they're not fiction, and you mention that they aren't yours.
Alright, this is my first time on /x/ because this happened fairly recently, and I want people to explain this bullshit. It was literally fucking horror. I couldn't sleep properly for like a month. Sorry if my English is bad. Be me 18. I was actually 18 at this time. Me and my uncle and friends went to a remote provincial house to party at night. It was because his friend had a birthday, and I was also invited and could come along. There were only like 8 to 10 of us in total. Apparently on our group, my uncle and that other lady said that they had third eye and told me that there were 2 spirits there that didn't like to be disturbed by people. The spirits were located at the toilet area and that other in the boiler room thingo. They told me that if I wanted to take a piss, just find a tree outside. I just told them, nah, that's bullshit. I don't believe in those things. I'm going to the toilet. Deep inside, I got curious because that was the first time I'd heard of such a thing. No one had ever told me about spirits or explained them to me or how they work. All I know is that they're fictional. As soon as I was about to head there, my uncle said, "If you want to go there, don't entertain them. Just go and leave ASAP." I start my journey going to a different building, or a house currently being renovated, to where the toilet was. As soon as I entered, it all felt normal. No spooky feeling shit like what you see on movies when you enter a haunted area. But for some reason, I couldn't stop looking at that corner on my right inside where the bedroom was supposed to be. When I was there, I don't know why, but I felt a bit dizzy and fuzzy, more like there's a tear on your eye, or that feeling when you didn't have enough sleep. I walked back, but instead of going directly back to where the party was, I went straight to that room with the water purifying thing and checked to see what's inside. It was dark and I couldn't find the light switch, but I got the same feeling. I just couldn't stop looking at that one spot, and unlike last time, this time I felt a bit dizzy and I felt a slight breeze too. No jokes on this one. And unable to look away until I checked my phone for the time and headed back. We were partying and such. My uncle's friends forced me to drink beer and smoke. I tried and hated that shit, so I just kept declining the offer. Soon as we headed back, this was at 1 p.m. by the way, the person who lives there decided to give us bottles of water from the water purifying thing. I grabbed one from the pack to drink because I was feeling thirsty. The 4 of us, me, my uncle, and his 2 friends, were in the same car. Just as we were leaving, the car wouldn't start. I was joking and told my uncle if he forgot to refuel again. He looked serious and went out, circled the car twice, went back inside and said, "If you can hear us, please let us go." I was like, "Shh, do you really believe in all that crap?" After that, he started the car again and we were off. About a kilometer later, the car hit a rock and we got the front right side of the tire, which was where I was seated, flat. Ha ha ha, how did you not see that? Did the alcohol get into your head? I laughed. Me and my uncle walked back to the provincial house to get assistance and get the tire replaced. Good thing we had a spare tire in the boot of our car. The others just stayed inside the car. I helped with replacing the tire and stuff, and we headed off to drop his friends and go home. 5 to 10 minutes in the car, I felt a slight pain on my left shoulder and my right arm. It kind of felt like after having a leg day or being moderately hit with a blunt object. 30 minutes in, Uncle told us to turn our shirts inside out, and I was just laughing and laughing at how ridiculous he's getting. He looked at me seriously in the eyes and told me to do it. I did it, and then I went silent for the next 5 minutes. After that, I just said that I'm feeling this pain on my right arm and left shoulder and went on chuckling. He immediately stopped the car and told me to sit at the back. I was just laughing as I moved to the back. After that, I kept saying words like, "I don't know what is this, but I feel like water. There's children in the water. My words don't make sense. Then I said they must be here. He immediately looked for the next fuel station and we stopped there, and he hugged me and he told me, "I know you're letting them in. Don't let them inside you, kick them out." And then he hugged me after that. I was just chuckling and giggling. I just kept replying, "What are you talking about? We both know they're not here," and proceeded to laugh and giggle, and then we just went on going back. After that I started recording myself, because I know that I'm very close to blanking out, because I was feeling very dizzy. I knew I wasn't feeling well, but a recording of it would be proof that this happened to me. We headed to McDonald's just to have a bit of a break from our trip. When we arrived and we turned on the lights inside the car to grab our things and get out, I just started asking questions like, "Can ghosts make the light flicker?" When I made myself feel like shivering, the lights would flicker once or twice. I was like, "Whoa, ghosts do have superpowers," and went on giggling a bit too. My uncle's friends were just silent and were just talking about random stuff with my uncle from time to time on our trip. They really didn't respond to me. So we went to McDonald's in town to get something to eat at 3 a.m. in the morning. My uncle asked me if I wanted to have water, because I kept saying stuff about water for some reason. And I just replied, "No, I hate water. I'll just have something else that's not water." At that time, I was pretty sure something clicked inside his head. He told me once more, "You have to force them out of you or they'll never leave you." I again repeated by saying, "What are you talking about? They're not here." So when we were about to head off, my uncle just told his friends to commute on their way home. We both went back to the car, but he didn't just get inside the car. He went to the boot and grabbed the pack of bottled water and asked me to throw them away. When I touched it, I felt a huge jolt up my spine and I ran about 50 to 100 meters away from it. He walked up to me and asked me again, repeatedly, to throw away the bottles of water. I said, "I can't do it. I feel like I'm gonna die." He replied, "We're not gonna leave in this parking lot until you throw those bottles of water. And you also have to take out the ones inside the car too." I paced for around 10 minutes thinking of what I was going to do. I was feeling so scared, and I was swearing a lot too. Then I ran up to the bottles of water, grabbed them, and I hurriedly put them in the large garbage bin behind McDonald's. My back, especially near my scapula, felt like they were being electrocuted, but I didn't care and just ran for my life, throwing away those bottles of water. He then said, "We're going to commute back home. It's good that you've taken those out so we can send them for repairs." I forgot to tell that the part underneath the car was damaged too, so it was slightly veering on the right. After that, I didn't feel so dizzy anymore and told him that I have proof of what happened on my phone. He told me to delete that because he said that could be a way for a ghost to attach themselves to you forever. He also told me to stop thinking about it and think about something else. Forget that it ever happened or it will keep coming back to me. I stayed in his apartment to spend the rest of the night instead of going back home. He's also got a cute dog. As soon as we were about to sleep, I told him that I'll turn off the lights, but he told me to leave them open. And also, for some reason, his dog wouldn't stop staring at the door from his bed. I couldn't sleep that night, so I turned on the TV, but with the volume down, and just proceeded to watch random stuff. Half an hour later, I was feeling really uncomfortable, so I tried to call someone, my aunt, just to tell her what happened. But every time I tried to call her, the line kept getting cut off with this slightly robotic voice static. I couldn't make sense of what my aunt was trying to say. So after all of that, he dropped me off back home and just told me, "This is what happens when you don't listen to me. Now you've learnt your lesson, that they're real. If they bother you again, don't entertain them. Just do something else. Don't even think about them. Think about something else. Amuse yourself. Talk to someone or be with someone." For about 2 or 3 weeks after that, every time I went out in the middle of the night to piss or grab a drink, I felt a shiver down my spine. So I went on and poured salt around the door and around my bed. And I was so paranoid that I went on to grab a piss bucket as well and a bottle of water next to me too. I never left my room after 11 after that event. Then they just slowly went away. After a month, I went out in the middle of the night and I don't feel shivers anymore. This is all real. I know it might happen again and I'm scared to death. Does /x/ have a tip for me? I'm just sick of being paranoid and feeling this shiver thing down my spine all over again. And by the way, people said that the room gets cold, you're haunted. Well, that's bullshit. I didn't feel cold, but it felt more like being electrocuted or tickled. A shiver here and shiver there. It wasn't a constant shiver. It felt like a passing shiver. It starts from my back shoulders going to my neck, face, and chest. Sometimes it goes from left to right of my body as well.
Walking to my bus stop on the way to work, about 6 a.m. Still dark as it was winter months. Every day nobody else has ever used the stop where I get my bus. I get close to the stop and think to myself, it's too cold this morning. Think nothing of it as if it is winter. Step into the shelter and lean against the glass pane next to me. As I was mostly looking to my right to see if the bus was coming, I took a quick glance to my left to see a girl staring back at me. Her eyes were red raw and she was pale. I kinda looked away as I thought she was either a druggie or a psycho and was gonna stab me, so just looked away and while kinda nervous, thinking about what the hell is about to happen. I didn't speak to her or anything. I remember I was smoking a cigarette at the time, so I moved out of the shelter to the other side of the glass pane. I looked back to my left and there was nobody there. The street was empty and too long for her to walk off. I would have seen her in the distance either way she went. No cars pulled up or anything. She was gone. At the time I didn't think that maybe it was a ghost. It's only pretty much now, the more I think about how not really anything makes sense, that it plays on my mind. This happened about 3 years ago, and to this day, I can still see her eyes staring straight at me. Am I missing a simple explanation? The girl was perfectly clear too. No mist or transparency. Just cold. I can't help thinking this is maybe a self-termination, or a girl that used to run away a lot, got involved in drugs and somehow died.
When I was younger, my sisters and I were playing in the downstairs TV room. It was about dusk, and at that time I saw the neighborhood ladies out for a walk through the long above-ground window, which stretched across the top of the wall across the room. Not much later, when it was getting dark, I heard a tapping at the window. I went up and looked but couldn't see much, so I put my face up against the window, and what I saw staring back was a pale-faced, slightly see-through woman with black scraggly hair, who had to be lying in the dirt of the garden to get in that position to stare in. I was scared, but I didn't even freak out, externally at least. I just got my sisters and took them upstairs with me to be with my mom. I didn't tell anyone anything about it, and even as a child I think I knew I was seeing things. In that same house I remember waking up at night and seeing what looked like my youngest sister kneeling on the carpet with her hair down, covering her face. Blinked once, and she was gone. Just seeing shit. Almost 15 years later, living in a house on an acreage that used to be a nursery. Such beautiful spring blooms of azaleas and rhododendrons. A young kid had an hero himself. This is what the neighbor told me. I used to sleep on my mattress on the floor in the living room by the big bay windows. Loved that place. Woke up with sleep paralysis to the sound of the big, thick, heavy front door opening and slamming shut, and something come rushing up the stairs, just on the other side of the partition wall. A really spiritual girl I had over once, an amazing young woman who I really admire, told me she felt a real coldness in the room I presume he offed himself in. There was bad energy there that affected one person who lived and worked there with me to such an extent he became a miserable person, always antagonizing everyone and getting in fights. Bad energy there. Canadian and its mind got to get it cleansed by a priest, though. There was a woman that lived there before me, and her husband was a chopper pilot for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. He died when the bird had a mechanical failure causing a crash. Really sad. One night the lady next door was freaked out by something pounding on her doors and windows all around the house. She said the dogs went nuts, and it felt like it had to be a group of people because of how quickly it went from one spot to another. Really beautiful properties out there, with tall 100-foot-plus coastal pine trees. I also worked at a restaurant just a stone's throw from the Pacific Ocean and the US-Canada Peace Arch border crossing. One of those ghost hunter shows did a segment there. I never had any haunting experiences there, but it was next to a native graveyard, being on leased Indian land. Speaking of graveyards, at one point I spent a summer out there living out of my vehicle. I had a bunch of spots I'd chosen to get some relatively undisturbed sleep, and I came to like sleeping in cemeteries. I would simply unroll a small, self-inflating bed mat and get under a thick sleeping bag and be really comfy, unless it rained. And then I was cramped up in a Tacoma truck Interior X, which isn't all that roomy, as anyone that had driven one knows. I felt fairly safe with my folding knife, but I still realized I was open to nighttime hobo games of bum darts. Anyways, I pulled in and backed my truck into a little dirt spot off the main road and set up in the truck bed. A few moments later, I can't remember how long I might have dozed off to sleep, but I heard the leaves crunching like someone was shuffling towards me. I sprung up and out and got into the cab. I always left it unlocked just in case I had to shake it quickly, and burned off with the tires squealing. I stopped sleeping. In graveyards after that.
When I was a lot younger, I lived in this really bizarre house. I'd get really bad paranoia and anxiety when going downstairs by myself at night, among other things. But the weirdest thing was this one room in my house that no one would ever go into, or even really acknowledge. I tried later, after we had moved, to talk to my parents and siblings about it, and no one knew what I was talking about. I would have thought I was imagining it, except that occasionally I'd find new stuff in the room and take it. I was young, and the stuff wasn't there the last time I went in, so I figured it had been left for me. Kid logic, whatever. The room itself looked like it had been burnt by a house fire, and if the lights in the room even worked, I never saw them on. Everything in the room seemed grayscale, and just generally devoid of life, which was why the things I took from the room stood out so much, except the cross. Pick-related is the stuff I managed to keep across several moves. The cross was the first thing I took because I was young, and it managed to shine in what little light the room got from the outside. After I took it, that's when the rest of the stuff began to appear. I know it's not especially scary, but to this day, I have no idea what the deal with that house or room was. As a side note, the baseball, which was the second thing to appear after the cross, has looked like this since I got it.
This happened to the friend of someone I used to know, so bear with me, it's quite long. Be me, a friend's acquaintance, around 7 or 8 years old. Have 2 cousins. The older is a nice, intelligent fella and a university student. The young one is kind of violent, but fun to play with. He's 12 or 13. Younger cousin absolutely hates his older bro. He couldn't stand how he got good grades and how he was so perfect in every aspect. He says that parents love him and would let him do as he wanted, while he was always restricted. Also, parents didn't give much attention to him since they were more attentive of their elder child. I agree with him since I have a younger sister, and my parents give too much attention to her. He tells me that he doesn't want to see him anymore. Me, being a dumb kid, I tell him, then kill him. Cousin's face brightens. He laughs and tells me, sure, great idea, Anon. I will kill him and show my parents what pieces of poop they are. We laugh, 'cause poop. Some time passes and my aunt and uncle have to travel out of the city, leaving the younger cousin alone for 2 weeks. His older bro is still at uni, but he calls and tells them he will go watch his sibling during the second week. Aunt says to call her when he gets there. 1.5 weeks passes, and the mom receives a telephone call. It's my aunt. She's preoccupied. Older cousin never called, and when she called home, no one answered the phone. This was before everyone had cell phones, so she's scared that older cousin got into an accident or that something happened at home because both kids are always fighting. Mom says she will go check on them. She takes me and my 3-year-old sister because she couldn't find anyone to take care of us. We get there and the house looks completely desolate. Lights out, no sound, windows and doors shut. Mom gets out the van and motions me to stay inside. She knocks a couple of times and yells for both cousins to get out. Nobody answers. I start yelling too because I have to go potty. Mom frantically searches under the garden pots for a spare key. After she finds it, she opens the door. Without hesitation, I ran inside. I can hear my mom yelling at me to wait, but I cannot wait anymore. As I was crossing the entrance and living room, an awful smell hits me. It's right behind my aunt's room door. Curiosity gets me. I jumped straight to the door and opened it. That's when I see it. And I heard my mom's screams and my sister's crying. I didn't notice she had run right behind me. The room walls were splattered with thick brownish-red stains all the way from the floor to my aunt's bed, which was almost covered with dry blood. A trail of blood went from the bed to the walk-in closet. My mom tried to catch me when she saw me run up to the closet door, but I opened it, and inside was my older cousin's lifeless body with a big gash on his neck. Turns out the younger cousin killed him while he was sleeping on the bigger, more comfortable bed of the house the first day he came back home. During a time I blamed myself because I thought me telling him to kill his brother was the reason he decided to do it. In the end, the aunt divorced and took the younger son with her and left him at a boarding school, I think. Still spooky shit because the guy forgot almost all his life about it and told my friend because his mom didn't want to talk about it. And now I'm here like an ass posting it on the internet.
Be Me on Halloween is an overcast day, cannot see the sky, only clouds. Take a good amount of psychedelics like mescaline and LSD. Walk through the woods with a friend who has also taken these, and sober friend to confirm. Find a spot to chill and enjoy the trip. While peaking, get told to touch the sky and envision playing with the clouds. End up making little balls of clouds stay still, while the rest moved with the wind. Complain about not being able to see stars, so envision a crack opening the sky up and clearing the clouds. Holy shit on an alter.exe when it works. Do some other stuff and come down off drugs. 1 month later, I found out that a crack in the sky has changed weather patterns around the world and caused a ripple in time. This ends up reverting California's weather to what it used to be, effectively ending the California drought within months. Also found out that the Sinbad movie Shazam, which I remember watching, now doesn't exist. You're welcome, because they're making a new one.
This has a lot of back history, but I'll try to TLDR. On my mom's side, there's a lot of mystery bloodlines hidden by my grandmother. But basically, later on in my mom's life, she learned about her Native American grandfather, and then learned her real dad died before she could meet him. Went nuts for whatever reason. Had shit parents who didn't want her, dumped her off wherever they could, dressed her like a hooker when she was underage so they could get in casinos. Breeding ground for mental illness, I guess. Fast forward a bit, all events take place over 8 years, from me being 8 to 15. Be me 8. Dad met this lady at work who slowly started showing interest in our family after seeing photos of my mom. The lady insists we should all go out to eat together with her husband too. Me being a dumb child, dinner seems normal. They invited us back to their house to see their artifacts and to discuss my mom's history. Their house looks like a B-movie ghost museum with wood masks and shit, feathers and native talismans, books all over the place. I wander around for a while until the lady calls me over to the laptop she was showing my mom. The page is open to the Star Children website. She says I'm one of these. Kid me says, okay, star's neat. I don't know what my dad was doing. Meanwhile, my mom's brain is sizzling with this new information. Kid me is getting irritable, so we finally get to leave. The lady gives my mom a red rosary and says it's special. I didn't know shit about rosaries, and I still don't. But my Catholic friend's mom said red rosaries are not common at all and that it was weird. Time passes. Mom leaves red rosary on her nightstand. Paranoia begins to increase. The church we had been going to, we stop attending. She started telling me the drummer from the choir band was following her home. I hated church, so no problem. My paranoia increases. Mom starts delving deep into cult research and number theory or whatever the fuck it's called. She starts telling me that the lady we met was actually evil and was out to sacrifice our family. That she kept dreaming my dad would set the house on fire and leave us inside. That I was, according to the cult numerology, supposed to die on 2011 New Year's. And that my birth date and some other number shit lined up with this star BS. She has been frequently waking up sweating and screaming from nightmares. My nightmares also increase. She tells me she saw the people that lived behind us taking pictures over the fence of her in the bathroom. Be me 13 now, deep in this evil ghost cult lore, brainwashed by my mom. Sees cat staring into space and following invisible things like the cliché. Follows where my cat is looking and kicks the air where it should be. Cheekily tells the ghost to get out like a joke. Mom tells me I shouldn't do things like that. That night I had an intense nightmare of at least 30 black distorted figures all looking at me and circling me, and that lady woke up yelling like a little witch. Mom is convinced the rosary had an evil spirit attached to it, so she throws it away and then keeps asking me to draw the things I saw. She'd have these weird, secret sessions with me away from my dad telling me about the red, black, and white infinity cars she saw following us, because apparently this cult only uses infinities and the colors mean something. After the rosary was thrown away, my cat would still stare at nothing and meow into space. Mom convinced us we were cursed and there was no way to escape unless we moved out to the middle of nowhere, which almost really happened. Her paranoia starts reaching crazy peaks. She starts trying to jump out of the truck in the middle of the road, yelling that she has to go back. My insomnia also began reaching peaks, and sometimes I'd open my eyes and see my mom just standing silently next to me. She'd wander around the house in the middle of the night. Another night she wakes me up and tries to rally me against my dad, says he's against us too, that we have to get away because the neighbors are still taking pictures so they can break in and kill us. I'm short 4 marbles of a bag of 2 at this point. I break down crying, yelling, "I don't want to die." More months pass. The new guy moves into a house across the street. He installs a mirror facing the street in his garage, where I would play outside with the other neighbor kids, and he drives a red Infiniti SUV. Mom is hysterically fruity, looping out. I hear her arguing with my dad, trying to get us to move still. I actually joined the cause. I even told my few friends that I'll be moving away soon. Nightmares continue. Insomnia continues. My cat still stares at nothing, now sometimes in my room. Lady tries to keep getting back in contact with my mom. My mom says she's getting corrupted, unintelligible emails from random sources, a lot to do with numerology and the star people shit. Another day I'm walking with a friend and this truck slows down next to us, right when we're turning into my cove, and asks me if this was X Cove on the street sign. I freeze like I'm about to get shot or something and just say no and run off. Friend tells him yes it is and looks at me like I'm autistic and asks why the fuck I just said no. Paranoia at 500%. I think that someone's gonna show up at any moment one night, now that they know. Friend goes home and I go hang out in the driveway with my dad. Too paranoid to sit in my room with my cat looking around. I overheard him on the phone with my grandparents. They're talking about my mom. I've been wrapped up in this for 7 years at this point. What they're talking about doesn't register with me until my dad spells it out for me. My mom is a nutter and none of it's real. I just laugh, and I laugh in front of my other family too. Everyone kinda looks at me with pity, and my dad says it's not funny. Few nights later, Mom's parents showed up, me thinking I'm fine now, just chilling and playing Tekken. They all confront her, chasing her around the house, out the back doors and back inside. Eventually she comes running into my room and shuts it. She says in an accusative tone, "You believe me, don't you? You love your mom, right? You trust me? We have to get away." She's trying to tell me my grandparents are into it now too. I just disassociated myself into Tekken and said nothing. That's my last real memory of that moment. I have a lot of holes in my memory, so sorry if it's incoherent. Why I post it here is because I still can't explain my cat chasing invisible things, nor the fact that the lady fervently believed in all this star stuff and insisted I was a part of it, and the numbers do line up. I also can't explain the weird guy with the mirror in his garage or the odds he'd have a red Infiniti. It's safe to say I never did any research into any of this after the fact. Fast forward to the final years of the ordeal. Mom is diagnosed as mild paranoid schizo with religious-leaning delusions. She's a lot more aggressive now that she has to keep all her cult research to herself and that I don't trust her. Sometimes at night I'd hear her printing hundreds of pages whenever she got strange emails. I still never saw any of the pages, but there were garbage bags full. For 3 years after she'd still come into my room at night and just stand next to me, she'd still wake up screaming, and I still have really fucked nightmares.
Be me in the Marines. 19 young, confident alpha, not scared of nothing. People swear the barracks are haunted. They never joke when they talk about it. Be staying in barracks, basically alone with only a senior sergeant on duty in other room. Decide to go to the Bound, in the lounge area watching some TV with a few lights on. Out of nowhere, lights go out. TV shuts down. Complete darkness. Oh shit. .jpg. Run into the sergeant's room. See if he maybe shut down the power. He's sleeping. Nobody else in the barracks. Have never been able to explain this. It wasn't an outage, as I simply turned on all the lights afterwards. Spooked me.
Okay, here's a good one. Not mine. This happened in my junior year of high school. One evening, my mother and stepfather had gone out to some event. Maybe it was an extended dinner or a concert. It's hard to remember. I had stayed at home to work on a paper that was due the next day. I was one of those kids who procrastinated until the last minute, and spent the whole night working at the desk in my room. To give you a picture of the room, my desk faces a wall and sits next to a small window that's on the same wall. And from where I sit, my back faces my doorway. While I was working, I was wearing these great headphones that I had gotten for my birthday, the kind that are noise-canceling. My parents left the house around 6 p.m., and the whole time they were gone, I sat at my desk, blasting music through my headphones and writing my essay. Occasionally, I would take breaks and watch the rain and lightning outside my window. We lived in Houston at the time, and there was a big storm that night. I never left my desk. My parents returned around 11 p.m. At some point late in the evening, I had removed my headphones, so when my parents came home, coincidentally just a few minutes after I had taken off my headphones, I clearly heard the garage door open, and my parents open the door to the house. Seconds after I hear them enter, I hear my mother shout my name. "Adrian!" she screams. "What on earth happened here?" Confused, I get out of my chair and start walking through the house to them. There's only a small hallway that separates my room from the living room. Due to my rush to figure out why my mother was yelling, I paid little attention to the hall and the house. After a few moments, I got to my parents. My mom looks livid. She's pointing at the carpet floor, yelling, "Was this you? Did you have friends over?" I look down. The carpet is ruined. It's covered in muddy footprints. I frantically explain to her that I have no idea how those got there, that I spent the whole night at my desk working on my paper. I watch as her face goes from anger to confusion to fear. We realize that someone else must have entered the house. Quickly, we scan the footprints, trying to make sense of the situation. It only takes us a few moments to figure out where they start: our back door, which we usually left unlocked. Then we noticed something else. The footprints started at the back door, but there were no footprints exiting the back door. We hear something pounding through our house. We hear the front door get torn open, then slammed shut with a sharp wham! We all run into the garage and lock the door. My mom starts shouting at the police through the phone, "Please come quickly! Someone's broken into our house!" After what seems like hours, the police arrive. An officer stays with us in the garage as his partner goes through the house room by room. His partner tells us that it's safe to go back in, that there's no one in the house. Then she asks us a question. She asks us whose room is down the hall to the left. My parents look at me, and I tell the officer that it's mine. She asks us to follow her down the hall. As we go, it's easy to see that the footprints weave through my house from the back door. They go through the living room, through the small hallway, into my parents' room, which is down the hall to the right, and then turn around towards my room. They stop in my doorway. Then the officer points at my door, which I had left open the whole night. On it, in black Sharpie, was written the following: my log. 8:47, I see you. 8:53, you forgot to lock the back door. 8:59, you seem focused. 9:24, turn around. 9:47, look at me. 10:15, look at me. 10:37, look at me. 10:49, look at me. For nearly 2 hours, someone stood in my doorway watching me. To this day, I shudder to think about what would have happened if I had ever turned around and looked at them.
Be me, 17 years old. Never had any girlfriend. Suffered bullying in middle school for being fat. Turns into anorexic depressive, 110-pound man at 16. Develops intense interest in demons, shooters, and spooky shit in general. Start doing astral projections and evocations. Managed to see flashes of my past life. As I dig deeper in this, weird shit starts happening at my home. One day I woke up in the middle of the night, only to see a slender 6'7" figure with long arms at my feet in the bed at 3 a.m. Freak out. Go around the house screaming and wake the entire neighborhood. The phenomena starts getting more intense in the following months, once I saw a dark monkey-shaped creature at the bottom of my bed. Something once threw me away from my bed, and I woke up on the floor. My blankets got pulled often, started hearing voices. Once invited a friend over for my birthday, and at dawn when everyone was sleeping, we went to the living room, and I provoked whatever was causing that phenomena to prove them true to him, causing the lights to faint and the chandelier to move. The windows were closed and there was absolutely no wind in the room. The poor guy didn't sleep that night. After that, things only got worse. I started seeing shit everywhere and objects started moving around the house. Mother freaks out and calls some mediums to do some kind of cleansing on me. After the cleansing, things somewhat got better. Now I'm 20 and I rarely see shit anymore.
I have a true story about a China hutch that happened to my family a couple years before I was born. My dad used to buy storage spaces that were abandoned or couldn't afford to be kept and make a profit. Made a ton of money. Found a beautiful China hutch in one. Decided to keep it and placed it in the living room. We had 3 families living in the house at the time. 6 children in the house. Dad comes home late at night, around 2 a.m. Bloody children's handprints were all along the hallway, not more than stomach height. He screams and immediately wakes up all the kids to check their hands, and everyone is pissed about it. No blood on any of the kids' hands. Everyone sees the handprints on the walls. They vanish before their eyes, and all of the adults are freaked out. Same week, China hutch starts playing odd Oriental music. There was an antique radio built in and we plugged it in. Dad unplugs it. Still playing. Won't stop playing. And when you left the room, the music got louder. Everyone in the house is freaked out. All agree to move it into the garage. Next morning, everything in the garage is in shambles. Tools everywhere. China hutch moved into the dead center of the garage. Full blast Asian music playing. Neighbors called cops for disturbing the peace at 6 a.m. Dad opens the hutch. Finds a small inner drawer glued shut. Breaks it open to discover the entire drawer has nothing in it. But each part of the inside of this drawer has a 666 number pattern drawn inside of it. Mum has Christian church lady over for lunch. Lady refuses to step inside the house even before knowing about the hutch. Told her something's possessed by demons in the house. Mum freaks out, pleads with Dad to take the hutch away or sell it. Dad's a cheapskate, calls a guy to buy it 2 cities away, but he has to drive it to the location. Ties it to the roof of the car. On the way, he almost gets hit 6 times. Delivers it to the buyer's auction house. Following week, the buyer's obituary was in the paper. Died in a grisly car wreck, with the hutch strapped to the top of his car, presumably to take it home. Hutch was untouched. Dad dies a decade later, unrelated to the China hutch incident. Mom is visited by the same church lady. Church lady says that the demon infestation problem could have been solved by mentioning the name of Jesus Christ so that the demons could flee, and she apologized for not mentioning it a decade ago. Must have been freaked out in the moment and was left speechless. True story happened in the mid-80s.
Be me 18. I work as a line cook at a brewery to help pay for college. The boss has me come in on a Sunday when we are closed to clean and do inventory. Noonish, my boss leaves to go to a meeting. He gives me his keys to lock up. About an hour later, I finished up inventory and the work of cleaning the hood and gaskets. Hear noises coming from the dining room and bar. Go check on it to see what it is. All the tables are slightly shifted and off-centered, but all the chairs against the wall. Think whatever and go back to cleaning. Hear a weird sigh that leads into laughter. Figured it was the fermentation tanks releasing CO2 from the fermentation process. I realize I need more degreaser to keep cleaning. The degreaser is in the closet in the brew room. Fuck my life. Head over to the closet. Hear weird sigh and laughter thing again. Look around and realize that all the fermentation tanks are empty and open. Think to myself, what the fuck? Head back towards the kitchen. Hear weird sigh and laughter again. Next I get pushed. I ran back to the kitchen, quickly finished up, hood closed down, and left.
I have one. Be me. Working weekends part-time at a grocery store to put myself through university. Live in Canada, so uni is cheap enough that I don't need debtfeelsgoodman.jpg. The grocery store is relatively small, but the franchise has very strict policies. Working 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. stocking shelves and tidying up the place until the morning people come. No key to store. The assistant manager leaves for the night. I lock the door behind him after he's checked both the east and west entrance as per his job. Whatever, he's gone. Now I can go start working a pallet of toilet paper on the shelf. 2 hours pass. It's midnight now. Alarm for the door being opened or unlocked goes off. Happens sometimes. Another mouse slipped past the door and set off the alarm. Just as I go to turn off the alarm, the phone rings and some middle-aged neckbeard asks if everything is okay. My first name and the security password. Yeah, I'm fine. Password is 4321 The password is literally 4321. Get back to work. I'm now working the cereal aisle and I can see the check stands from here. Here's some footsteps over top of the FM radio playing all-night 80s songs. Look towards check stands where noise came from. A shadowy figure moves, crouching and quickly around them. Panicking, I think, oh shit, what if Manager Chan really didn't lock the doors? I drop everything and go check them. Running at a decent pace towards the west doors, all indoors are indeed locked. Turning around to go check out, and I see a figure distantly behind the meat department counter. No lighting though. Check the outdoors ASAP and they're locked too. I Lightning McQueen my ass 100 feet to the east doors. I push on the first door. It opens. Please no, please fuck no. Push the second outside door. It opens. The dumbass didn't lock the east doors just as I let him out, the idiot. Immediately lock it. Call out to whatever is there. I can hear voices now whispering distantly. Keep calling for it or them to expose it or theirselves. Hear more footsteps and whispers. Look over towards the dimly lit back room of the deli department where there is a shadowy figure walking through the doorway towards storage. I start to make my way over towards the phone. It's near the cash registers and the cash office. I go anyway, and as I get to the phone, I see two distinct figures hide behind the aisle to my far right, where the 18.3-liter water jugs are. Grown man about to fucking cry because I'm underslept and terrified. Hear ruckus, things being moved around and rummaged. Call the police with velocities exceeding that of my first nut. Waiting for the police to arrive, and I hear actual voices yelling and communicating from the back room, not in English. Still seeing shadowy figures navigate through the store, even boxes and inventory being moved. Police must arrive around 7 minutes later, but it's a 90-second drive on a 70 kilometers per h as it's just down the road. What the fuck? I go home and the police check the situation, and the boss is informed in the morning. Nothing was found on cameras but me running around yelling at nothing but Aha's take on me in the background having a panic attack. Ghosts, man.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.